Well, welcome everyone to the third installment of the 2018 NFL Draft Q&A video series. Having fun with these? I hope you are, because I kind of am. Now, first thing to address, for those of you that are wondering what happened to all the stuff that was on the background here and where did it go? Stay tuned. I've got a bunch of stuff that is literally on the way for the Bad Cave. If you watch my wrestling channel, OTRS Central, you'll know that one of the sections has been modified, and that will also be getting updated still. I'm waiting for stuff to come in, some vintage posters that are going to be very nice. Dick Butkus, Scale Sayers, 85 Bears stuff. Then there's going to be a whole different section that's going to be dedicated to Jordan and the Bulls. And then another room here in the house is probably going to be set up with the Cubs stuff. So I'm taking my man spaces back, baby. That's what I'm doing. So stay tuned. And when you see it, hopefully you respect it. Because I spent a lot of money to get it that way. Anyways, thanks to all of you that went to Twitter. You could follow me at Twitter. The handle is in the description box below. Every week up to the NFL draft, I will be doing a Q&A video. So when the time comes and I ask you for the questions, if you got questions for me about the draft, please let me have them. Let me get them. Let's get started with this Q&A though. I Am Doofy asks, prospects you've been the most right and most wrong about over the years. This is one of these questions that requires some thought. But the easy ones, of course, for me are going to be the ones that I was the most right about over the years. I point to Randy Moss, Brian Urlacher, most certainly those two. Like the most right. Like if it was on the Mount Rushmore of the best takes I ever had, the guys I was absolutely the most right about, it's Randy Moss, it's Brian Urlacher. And then it might very well be Khalil Mack and Aaron Donald. It was two guys in the same draft class in 2014. I mean, if you go back and watch those videos and how I talked about them, it might very well be Khalil Mack and Aaron Donald. But it most certainly is Moss and Urlacher. And there's been a lot of other notable hits for me. There's also been a lot of notable misses. I was very huge on Ryan Leaf coming out of Washington State. Very, very big on him, that is for sure. Back in 95, I thought Rashaan Salaam was going to be the next great Chicago Bears running back. I was dead ass wrong about Von Miller in 2011, that's for sure. Wrong about Ryan Tannehill. God, who else? God. I'm trying to think. See, again, this is one of these questions that requires a lot of thought. I'd have to go back and look at years of notes and files and stuff. But those are some of the ones I can think of. And again, honestly, it's much more easy to think about the hits than the misses. Jeff's Ego. Where will Kirk Cousins and Sam Bradford both end up next season? We've heard the reports that the Jets are willing to do whatever it takes, so they're definitely players because they'll have a ton of cap space, perhaps. The Denver Broncos, I think, are players. Maybe the Minnesota Vikings are. I still feel like the Broncos end up winning the Kirk Cousins sweepstakes, but I could very well be wrong. If Bradford is anywhere next season, it's as a backup, not a starter. Very, very realistically, who in the hell would give Sam Bradford the keys to the car in 2018? You do that, you're losing your job, and you should. B Knows Sports. Your opinion on Tom Brady before the 2000 NFL Draft. Day 3 guy, like a round 4 to 5 type of guy. A guy that I thought was better than he was given credit for at Michigan. That they were just in love with Drew Henson and felt they had to play Drew Henson at the expense of Tom Brady. Obviously, I never thought that Tom Brady was going to be the Tom Brady that Tom Brady became, but 4th, 5th round talent. That's what I thought he was. Stephen Hilton. What running back prospects could drop to rounds 3 through 5, and why? Are you talking about guys that have more notoriety that could potentially fall? If that's the case, Nick Chubb, because of some durability concerns and concerns about his ability to stretch to the edge in the perimeter. Josh Adams, because he's a taller, lankier type of running back, he might drop a little bit. Royce Freeman, because of the fact he has a lot of mileage on his body and he didn't look as explosive or bursty to me in 2017 as he had in previous seasons. Those would be a few guys that I could think of. And I've kind of given you the reasons why. Chase Oliver. Have any personal favorites so far in this draft? Mine's Rashad Penny. You know, that's an interesting question. I don't know that I have a dude yet. Now, granted, I've primarily only scouted the offensive side of the ball. I have a feeling once we get over to the defensive side of the ball, there's going to be a couple of dudes that end up being my guys. And when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, it probably feels like more as I get through the second wave of prospects. That's when I'll start identifying a guy here and a guy there, a guy here and a guy there. But right now, offensively, if I had to say one dude, it might be Ronald Jones, but I don't know if I'm so in love with him as a prospect that he absolutely qualifies as dude. Like some are going to point out like a Josh Allen or maybe to a lesser degree Lamar Jackson. But when you look at the grades that I gave them as quarterbacks, does that really strike you as those are my dudes? Josh Allen would probably be the other one that would be the closest to my dude than maybe Lamar Jackson. But I don't know if any of them have truly gotten to that category yet. I don't think so, honestly. I have a feeling once I get over to the defensive side of the ball, that's when I'll start finding my dudes. It's probably going to be Bradley Chubb. It's probably going to be Tremaine Edmonds. It's probably going to be either Minkah Fitzpatrick or Derwin James. Who else could it possibly be? There will be others. I think there will be more of my dudes on the defensive side of the ball than the offensive side of the ball, Chase. Daryl O., your opinion on Vita Vea. I'm getting ready to scout him this week, and when that video comes up, I will let you know. Chad Ruzich. What's a crazy left field take on the first round of the draft? Meaning somebody that's going to surprise in terms of where they're drafted, either way, way high or way, way low, or a crazy trade or something like that. If I had to say right now before the combine, maybe Josh Rosen falling into the teens, or even the 20s. I don't know. I don't really have one yet. Not yet. Stay tuned though, I might. Keys 10. As of now, what QB are you taking number 1 overall if you're the Cleveland Browns? For the Browns at number 1, if I want to play it safe, I go Sam Darnold. If I want to shoot for the stars, I'm going Josh Allen. What did you think of Vince Young coming out of Texas? I was very high on Vince Young. And you could say I was kind of wrong about him too, although I believe he made a couple of Pro Bowls during his time, but he also got saddled with Jeff Fisher, which most certainly was not helpful to him. But I always thought that Vince Young should have been drafted by the Houston Texans because if David Carr can't play for the offensive line that can't block, then find the quarterback that maybe doesn't need the offensive line that blocks as well. But I was a huge fan of Vince Young. Huge fan of Vince Young. And unfortunately, his career just didn't pan out the way I'd hoped. Brian Ingamels, can you talk about times you ignored your gut and you were wrong on players? Times that I ignored my gut and I was wrong about players. I can't think of any. The real truth is I cannot think of any at this point. There have been, certainly have been. Oh, no, I've got one. 2008, Atlanta Falcons. I was big on Matt Ryan. I believed that he was a franchise quarterback. But when it came draft time, I was very negative towards the Falcons and their decision to draft him and not Glenn Dorsey. Even though my gut told me that Matt Ryan was a superior prospect, even though that my gut told me that Matt Ryan was going to be a franchise NFL quarterback, for some reason I was stuck in the fact that I thought defensive tackle was a bigger need for them, which was crazy and ridiculous. Quarterback was their number one need. My gut told me that Matt Ryan was going to be a franchise NFL quarterback, and there I was when Atlanta came on the clock, third pick overall. I was agreeing with a lot of these other people that were saying it was ridiculous that they drafted him. For what reason, I still cannot figure out a decade later. I can't. Because Matt Ryan was at the very top of my draft board that year. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, honestly. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. You weren't thinking, were you? The answer is, not so much. No, I really wasn't. Haidar Agel. I hope I said that right. If not, I do apologize. And believe me, with a guy with a last name like mine, I understand how everybody butchers the name. So, forgive me. Thoughts on the Texans situation in this year's draft? Well, the truth is they really don't have one. They don't have their first round pick. They don't have their second round pick. They're not going to get a lot of help there. They better hope that their front office is running a tight ship and can find a couple of value guys in day 3 because they're going to need them. Jake Bingham, what makes Josh Rosen the clear-cut best quarterback in this draft? I don't fucking know. I don't know what the hell people see that they love Josh Rosen so much, and that's just the way it is. We might be wrong, but damn it all, when I watch Rosen, I find so many flaws and so many issues that I don't know what the hell the buzz is about. I don't know what the hell all the hype is and excitement is about. I really don't. I really, truly don't. I don't know. If it's media hype, the fact that you've been hearing his name for 3 years, I don't know what the hell it is. But to me, it's not based off of game film, that's for damn sure. Chase Gosney. Is there always risk trading up or down at any point in the draft? Well, certainly there is risk. I think the more important question is, does it pay off to trade up or trade down? Is one necessarily better than the other? And I plan on, at some point in time during this draft season, actually doing a video about if trading up makes sense, and then also if trading down makes sense. Because I think the results would be very interesting. And I make sure I have my research tabulated and everything, but I already kind of know which direction I would go on each, and they wouldn't be that much different. That's the truth. Scott Ford asks, who are the must-have centers in the draft this year? I don't know if a center is must-have, but it's probably Billy Price and James Daniels, the kid from Iowa. I mean, those are probably your top 2 centers, unless you believe that Isaiah Wynn can play center, and I do, and I think it might be his best NFL position. Then he would be another one, and he would be above those other 2. It's a good interior line class, especially at the top in the first couple of rounds. So those would be the guys that I can think of. Keegan Tran. Are the Bengals forced to take an offensive tackle this year in round 1, or can they do best player available? They can still do best player available. They just need to actually make sure that the best player available is actually the best player available. It'd be great if the offensive tackle was, because then that would really help. But they have other needs on that team too, so you can't be so married to the idea of the need at offensive tackle that you ignore superior talents at other positions of need. Because let's face it now, it's been 2 straight years the Bengals haven't made the playoffs. They have needs all over that team, and that's the truth. Vols fan, how will the Browns screw up having 2 top 5 picks? Oh, God. Very simply, the number one way I could see them screwing it up is not taking their choice of quarterback at number 1 overall. That would be one thing they could do. Now, you will have those that talk about Saquon Barkley no matter what, and I don't fundamentally disagree with that, but the problem is that in order for the Browns to turn that thing around, they must get that quarterback, and you must make a statement by taking that guy number 1 overall. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it would be, instead of realizing you've got the 1st and 4th pick in the draft and you've got a lot of power there and you need to maximize and get 2 difference makers, 2 true impact players, it would be just like the Browns to trade back out of number 4, get additional picks that they don't fucking need, and pass up on an impact difference making type of player. That would be the other way they screw it up. To me, for the Cleveland Browns, it's not about the quantity of picks. It needs to be about the quality of the picks. If that means they have to give up a lot of other picks in that draft to move up to number 2 so they can get their quarterback and then get Saquon Barkley, just as an example, then that's what the fuck you do. You need difference makers. They need stars, and they need star power in a bad, bad way. And having 20, 30 damn picks each year doesn't necessarily get you there. That's how they screw it up, in my opinion. Dave Garcia, if the Bears trade back, will a wide receiver make sense? I don't see them trading back. I don't see why somebody would feel the need to really trade up to where the Bears are at number 8. If it did manifest and it did happen, then Calvin Ridley becomes a lot more appealing somewhere between, let's say, 12 and 15. That's for sure. Number 8, I don't know. 12 to 15? Then yes, maybe he does. Zach Powers, bigger need for the Lions after running back. I'd say is either offensive line or defensive line depth. I'd probably go defensive line. Try to get you another pass rusher, another edge rusher, especially if you're keeping Ansah long term. You could use more juice out of that defensive line. You could use another edge rusher. So I would feel like that would be probably the next really big need for them. But it's running back all frickin' day long. You're absolutely right about that. Mikey Owen. Should the Raiders cut beast mode and spend a day 2 pick on a running back? I'll answer this in 2 parts. Yes and yes. What did beast mode really bring you last year but some distraction in mediocre mode? Goodbye. And then yes, with my new head coach that's going to be there for years, let me get him his Charlie Garner type of running back, his Michael Pittman, Mike Allstott type of running back, whatever the case might be. Let's get him guys that fit what he wants to do offensively. So yes, I would do both parts. Caesar asks, is Lamar Jackson ceiling Cam Newton, and is his floor Tyrod Taylor, Michael Vick? I feel like you're probably closer with his floor being Tyrod Taylor, Michael Vick. I don't know about the ceiling because him and Cam are slightly different players. But I feel like he's closer to his floor being Tyrod Taylor and Michael Vick. It's shameful to me why so many people, and mind you, my top 2 rated quarterbacks in this draft are Josh Allen 1 and Lamar Jackson just a little bit behind. So keep that in mind when I say this. But if Lamar Jackson gets all this talk from guys like Bill Polian and other people that he played in such a simplistic offense and and that he's going to have to convert to wide receiver and that's his NFL position, then why aren't you saying the same thing about Josh Allen? Gee, I wonder why. People are sleeping on Lamar Jackson as a quarterback prospect. And the best thing, honestly, that could happen to him is he drops in the draft a little bit, goes to a somewhat decent program, a decent team, and gets into a good situation and comes in and wrecks shit up because he's got a massive chip on his shoulder. And that's what I feel like could happen. And I hope it does for his sake. James Forkham closes us out by asking this question. Who would you rather build your team around, Marcus Mariota or Jameis Winston? I said it 3 years ago, Marcus Mariota. Today, the answer is the same, Marcus Mariota. Period. Boom. Anyways, that's it for this Q&A. I'll be back next week with another installment of this 2018 NFL Draft Q&A video series. I'll have some more scouting reports coming up on this channel this week, so stay tuned.